Hello, my name is Andrew, and today I'm going to show you how to connect OpenVSwitch, Mininet, and the HP 2920 switch to the SDN controller, and then hook the nodes together. So the first step we're going to want to do is get Ubuntu 12.04. The reason why I did this is because in the last video, when I installed Mininet, I kind of skipped over OpenVSwitch because we didn't really need it. But OpenVSwitch has a problem running in 12.04.3 and 12.04.4, so we download 12.04. To do that, you're going to want to go to old-releases.ubuntu.com/releases/12.04.1/release/ and then click this option right here, this 1.6 gig file uploaded on April 25th, 2012 at 16:57. And then you'll just follow the steps as normal to create the VMs and you'll be good. So what we're going to do now is open up the VM with the controller on it. And we're going to open up the controller. Now, sometimes when you turn off your machine, the settings change. So sometimes you'll find that you'll try to get into the controller doing the same thing you did, as in just typing in your IP address and you can't get in. So the way to do that after you turn off a VM and you turn it back on is to do sudo space update -java -alternatives space --jre -s space java -1.7.0-OpenJDK-AMD64. And then we should be able to get into our switch or our controller. So HTTPS, and then this IP address is 192.168.6.189:8443/SDN/UI. We should get in. There we go. Okay, so next what you're going to want to do is to get into the switch. And the way I do that is I connected it through a USB to my computer in MobaXterm. You can download MobaXterm for yourself at mobaxterm.mobatech.net/download-home-edition.html and just pick this option. You'll download that, you'll open it up, and you'll go to Xserver, XDMCP session, go to serial. You're going to have to update your COM4 port, your serial port, but after that, you'll go to this USB serial port and you'll go speed 11.5200. Go to terminal settings, VT100, advanced serial settings, select Minicom from the drop down menu, and then flow control set to none. Hit OK. Hit enter a few times, and there we go. Here we are. So I'll enable it. And the only thing I've done on this is created a username and a password. So manager, and then my password. And I can show you it's empty with the show run. Should be nothing. And what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to update your switch. And so you'll go to pro-networking-h17007.external.hp.com/us/en/support/converter/index.aspx, and then type in your product number, and this one's J9727A. This is the 24G PoE switch. There it is. You'll go to display selected, software downloads, and you'll just pick the one that was posted the most recent, so this would probably be it since it was posted today. And you'll go to your menu, you'll go to download your OS, which is just type in 7, and you'll choose X modem, execute, and you'll do that. But since I don't want to do that, oh, you'll hit Escape S to transfer it once you hit enter and you hit, as you can see, you can do X modem, Y modem, Z modem, and you'll choose X because that's what it's expecting, and then you'll just drag the file. But that takes about an hour, or it took me about 2 hours, I think, so I don't want to do that right now. So we'll just quickly connect back to it. None. Okay. Cancel. Go to the command line and we'll start our configurations. To start our configurations, all we need to do is type in configure or config or conft, just whatever you choose to type in. And we'll type in VLAN 2. We need 2 LANs. We need a VLAN to communicate to the internet and a VLAN for management. So I'm going to create the VLAN to talk to the internet. We will name it VLAN 2. You do that by typing in name and then in quotation marks the name. And then we want untagged space 3-24. My internet and my computer are on port 15 and 16. So we're just going to untag 3-24. And then we're going to give it an IP address, and you do that by typing in IP address. And then the IP address you want to give it, something that makes sense for your network. So I'm going to make a 192.168.6.162 space, then the net mask, which is 255.255.255.0. And then exit. Do a show run to verify the settings are in there, and they are. And then we will go into VLAN 1. In VLAN 1, all we're going to do is do no untagged 3-14, no untagged 17-24. Then we're going to do untagged 1-2, and we want to do tagged in the ports that are the internet and my computer. The reason why I did 1-2 is just the management place. That's where I want management to be. And we'll just do exit. So show, run. And the settings have changed again. So now we're going to get in the OpenFlow part of the switch configurations, because OpenFlow is how it talks to the controller. So how to get into there? All you do is type in OpenFlow, and then you do enable, and then now we're going to put the controller IP address, and to do that you do controller-ID, and here it's expecting a number between 1 and 16 because you can put in multiple controllers. So since this is our first, it makes sense to just make it 1, and then IP space, and then the IP address of the controller, which is this. So 192.168.6.189 controller dash interface, and then the VLAN that's going to communicate with it, so VLAN 2. That's the one that's connected to the internet. So we'll do instance. You have to create an instance and just give it a name. It doesn't really matter, so I just name it control. And it's going to be listening on a certain port, so we do listen-port. And most SDN controllers listen on port 6633. The HP controller's nothing different, so 6633. Member, we're going to make it a member of a VLAN, and so VLAN 1. And we're going to tell it the controller ID that we want it to send our flows to is controller ID 1, mode passive, enable, exit, enable, exit. So we can do another show run. more modified settings, you can do show OpenFlow, and you see that it says control operating status is up and the number of software flows is 4. So apparently it's already speaking to the controller. You can also make sure by doing show OpenFlow instance and then the name, which is controlled. So it's enabled, it's a member of VLAN 1, the listening port 6633, operating status is up. It's sent 4 software flows, and it says it's connected and active. So hopefully, when we hit topology, it's there, and it is. It has the IP address we gave it, so that's what we expect to see. Now we're going to connect Mininet, and this is basically the same as my Mininet tutorial of connecting, except we're going to send it to a different remote controller, and I'll show you how to do that. To do that, you're going to want to make sure first you're connected to the internet. And since we can ping Google, it means we are. Also take note of your IP address. So we are 192.168.6.160, and we have an Ethernet 1 as well, and we'll need that for later. So to get an Ethernet 1, you're going to want to go to your VirtualBox and go into your settings and go to your network, and then select another adapter and add it, and just make it internal. The way to do this, you have to make sure your VM's off first, and all 3 of these VMs are connected to Ethernet ports. So make sure you are as well. And you can modify the settings of your Ethernet 1 to give it an IP address that you want by going into sudo nano / etc. / networks / interfaces. And you can do auto Ethernet 0, iFace Ethernet 0, iNet DHCP, and then auto Ethernet 1, iFace Ethernet 1, iNet static. iNet static address, and then the address you want it to be, something you can remember. Netmask, something that works for your network. Network, something easy. This is your gateway. And then broadcast, what broadcasting is. So I just gave it generic things because they're easy to remember that way. So now to connect, we'll do sudo mininet -c. That'll clean all previous history so that can't interfere with what we're doing now. And we'll also do sudo mn -- topo equal linear, comma 1. We only want one node. And then -- controller equal remote, comma, and this is where we connect to the remote controller of a different IP, is IP equals 192.168.6.189. Now we'll go to that VM. We'll refresh, and there it is now. Go to the topology, refresh the page, and there they are. Now we're going to connect the Open vSwitch. So we'll go into here. We can close this now. We don't need it. It doesn't need to be open. The settings are already in it. I'll show you. It hasn't gone away. They're still there. Alright. So the way I got Open vSwitch on this is to just download Mininet the same way. Do the Mininet /util /install sh -nfv. But on 12.04, that error at the end that you see regarding Open vSwitch doesn't occur. So that's why it's okay just to do that, because Mininet comes with Open vSwitch installed. But I don't use Mininet on this, so here we go. And I also did the same thing with the sudo nano / etc. / init nano network / interfaces. I have them. I gave it the same thing except that this one's address is 0.1. Take note of your IP address again. This one has an IP address of 102. And I'll do a sudo vsvsctl show to show that I have Open vSwitch and it's version 1.4.6. Okay, so now we're going to start hooking it up. So you'll do that by adding a bridge, which is sudo ovsvsctl add dash bridge, which is add dash br, and then just give it a name, which is bridge 0, br0, and then add a port to it. So ovs dash dash vsctl add dash port br0, and then we're going to attach it to Ethernet 0. So just Ethernet 0. And then if you didn't notice, or you probably will, is you cannot ping Google anymore. You're not connected to the internet. You're still connected, but it's trying to talk still through Ethernet 0, so you're going to need to make it start talking through bridge instead. So the way to do that is do sudo ifconfig Ethernet 0 0 and sudo ifconfig bridge 0, and then give it the IP address you found earlier, so 192.168.6.102, and then give it the same net mask, which is 255.255.255.0, and now you're going to use you're going to take the gateway and put it on it as well, so you do sudo route add default gateway 192.168.6.1. This is where it helps to know your default gateway, and you can figure that out by doing a route-en, or you can go to your command prompt and type ipconfig and find your internet, which mine is right here, and my default gateway is 6.1, so that's why I chose that. And then we'll type br0, and then delete the default gateway from the other one by doing sudo route delete del default gw 192.168.6.1 Ethernet 0. Make sure you can ping google.com, and you can. So there's that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set a controller. So we'll do sudo ovs-vsctl set -controller br0 tcp : and then the IP address. So 192.168.6.189, and then the port it's listening on, which is 6633. You can check which controller it's on by sudo ovs-vsctl get -controller br0. Do an sudo ovs-vsctl show is connected true, and there it is over here. There's all three. So now we're going to get them all three connected to each other, and to do that we're going to go to Mininet. There's the Mininet. And we're going to do the same thing we did with Open vSwitch, configuring the IP address basically. So we'll do sh ovs vsctl, and then we're just add -port s1 and Ethernet 0, and then the sh ifconfig Ethernet 0 to be 0, and ifconfig S1 to be the IP addresses 168.6.160, net mask 255.255.255.0, and route add default gateway 192.168.6.1 S1, and route delete default gateway 192.168.6.1 Ethernet 0. Make sure S1 can ping google.com. It can. So it should be now connected, all three. And there it is. So now we have a topology with a Mininet node, an open vSwitch node, and a physical node, a physical HP 2920 switch node. So hope you learned something today. I hope you have a great day. See you later.